When I wake up, hey, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And I get drunk, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. When I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. I will walk 500 miles and I will walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Da 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 da.
Well done. Well done, sir.
Oh my god. Not bad.
Right. That was a good intro.
All right. Yeah.
Best intro yet.
Were you listening to that on repeat for your whole car trip? Your 15-hour drive?
Yes. Yes, on repeat. I probably listened to it. Actually, I tallied it. I listened to it exactly 2,226 times.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you actually?
No.
Are you messing with? Okay. It's like you've been watching a lot of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. Well, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, welcome back to the Anime Punch podcast. We're going to be talking about our winter 2018 roundup.
Yes.
It's going to be some good shit. So, which one? What should we start with? One of the smaller ones.
Well, you have the list, so what's one of the first ones?
Here, I'm gonna let you take the reins, buddy.
Gonna let me take the reins.
Yep.
Okay.
So you get to talk about Kokkoku first.
Oh. All right.
Well, just give me a summation. What'd you think?
I thought it was really good. Really drew me in with what was going on. Like, everything happened so quickly that it kind of leaves this a little bit of suspense and all that going into it. But it's a really fun show. The concept is different, than I've ever really looked into. How there's this complete world that lives in a different time,
Yeah.
So it's like,
isn't it like a stopped time?
Time
stops and then
I don't know if it's stopped completely, but it's not stopped completely. The time is still running, but it's running differently for them than it is
right.
And it's almost like dimensions. Like different dimensions are actually different times. Different perceptions of time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but there's multiple different perceptions of time. So like, I think there's one episode where they do the little time jump type thing.
15 minutes too early, Cat.
Yeah. So they do like the time jump, thing where they're in a different time, and there's all these bad guys there that are ready to get them, and they all like jump through these different times. But you can once you're in that time jump phase, you can jump again into another time.
Right.
Which is a completely different dimension, so it seems. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Really interesting take on that whole like otherworldly, multi-dimensional thing. Then they have this like god or whatever. Some people call it a god, and then there's another name for it, but it's this huge like monster type thing that appears when the person that's doing the time jump is in danger or whatever. This like huge monster would come and save you. So like that was like the girl, like the main character, the girl in the show. Yeah, is like, or it's her family. Like her whole family has this power or whatever, over time or whatever. And if somebody tries to harm them while they're jumping or whatever, this huge like monster appears and like freaking smites whoever. Like whoever tried to mess with them.
It sounds a lot more bonkers than I originally thought.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I wish I had finished it all. I only watched like the first 6 or 7 episodes or so, and I was like, yeah, It's really good. I'm gonna have to go back and finish it.
Interesting one.
But yeah, really good one.
Looked a little bit like Steins Gate, just in
terms of the animation,
thematic feel, I guess. There's like this. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Yeah. I haven't even watched Steins Gate, so that's just from from a purely aesthetic point, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing I know about it is what I was telling you earlier. I've heard its OP is supposed to be amazing.
It is pretty good. I mean, I
think specifically the song is really good, really catchy.
Yeah, it's a good song. We were talking about this earlier, but I was kind of surprised that a lot of people found that OP so good. Like that, I thought there were a bunch of good OPs from. There's a lot of good season, OPs this season. It's not an easy. In a different season, it might take the cake, but there's a lot of good shit this season. I mean, you could say that Mob Psycho's OP is dope. You know, it is pretty dope. I think it's pretty cool. It is pretty dope. Yeah, there's a lot of dope OPs. Yeah. All right. I think that's good enough for that. Yeah. Yeah. So, let's move on to another one. All right. So we're gonna let me just hit up on Citrus. Yeah. Oh, by the way, let me just say this: we're just gonna rifle through a lot of the shows that we don't really have a whole lot to say about, and then there are a few smaller, less liked shows, right? And then there are a few shows that were just amazing, that you could really get into a little bit more, that we have a lot to say about. So stay tuned for those, but let's just get through some of the other ones first. Well, we'll like shotgun the other like 6 I have on this list. So Citrus is the one I watched. Yeah, we watched the first episode. We together. We didn't get through like the first 5 minutes before you were just like, nope, I need a minute. Ooh, this is too much. Yeah, I'm like, I can't do this. It's like this combination of. It's very bright, like high contrasted like art. So it's pretty to look at, but yeah. And then I think you were drinking heavily. Yeah. I was like... It was a lot to take in. Right. And then it immediately throws you into, like, the main point of Citrus. So. I just felt like I knew where it was going, Like, and you were right. Yeah, I was just like, I know where this is going, so... Because at the end of that first episode, she, like, attacks her, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. You immediately get plenty of rapey vibes there, which is good. Well, tell us about it, man. You're the one that finished it. I'll try to make this as brief as possible without completely railing on the show. Because I kind of wanted to like it. And, it's Yuri, So, that's hot, I guess. Yeah. But it's so trashy. It's just... The level of trash in this show is like American reality television level trash. It's just okay. So tell us exactly what you mean by trash. Like what is trash? Like what? So I suppose the way I'm putting it, the trash I'm seeing here is in terms of drama. Yeah. Okay. In terms of forced drama. Like cheesy? Cheesy fake drama that's just like, just supposed to get you riled up or something. Right. So, let me start off with the good points. Not all the characters suck. The main character is actually good. The main character is actually kind of cool. Like, she's a fairly well-developed character, and she's easy to root for, and she's a cool character in her own right, and she gets characterized fairly well, having a balance between like horny teenager and like right. And this is nice older sister. This is the blonde one, Yuzu or something. And then her best friend Harumin is also a decent character, just because she's like archetypical like. Best friend, like super supportive, so she's easy to get behind. Sure. And even the second girl, May, the black one, the black haired one. Once you get to know her backstory, she
she gets interesting development, but then she can be kind of a boring character to be on screen. So she's kind of a double-edged sword, or two-faced coin, or whatever you want to say there. And so there was potential here because they have decent characters and decent backstories and stuff on those characters. That made the parts of the story where they came together in a relationship, or like trying to form that relationship, that would have been interesting. It would have been good if it wasn't surrounded by all this just dumpster fire garbage. It just because through the whole show, I mean, it starts off and it'll knock half the viewer base off right away because it's very rapey, and that's fairly common in this genre. I hear. So you get a lot of forced things, which not many people can stomach. If you get past that kind of stops. It's kind of right. But then you just get into a bunch of different characters who are just trashy and dramatic for no reason. Right. They introduce. There's two specifically. They introduce two foils to our main pair's relationship, and they. Like, the first one pisses me off the most is the pink-haired girl. I don't remember her name. But she just shows up out of nowhere and, tries to fuck with them. And it just... There's no good storytelling there. It's just, we need something dramatic to happen. We need tension in this love story. Blah. Right. And so they throw this character into it, and you fucking hate you hate her the whole time she's on screen. Right. Honestly, you hate all three of the girls who are like the romantic foils. But when any of them are on screen, you just hate them all because there's no reason for them to be there. They're just like being shitty and dramatic for the sake of the drama, Right. Which is just obnoxious. And the same way American reality shows are. It's just very, no substance forced. To the characters. There's no substance. It's just forced.
It's all shtick. It's all
So, it's not interesting. It just just like crappy reality television, it doesn't really keep you engaged. It's just like shitty and maybe good as a popcorn thing, as I guess some people watch reality TV for, but it's just not good. So it's interesting because I think I rated it a 6 overall, which I should probably move that down to like a 4. Yeah, because it could be good. It has good elements in it. It's just surrounded in a giant ball of trash.
Right. So. Well, speaking of which, I think it's a good idea to probably put like a little ranking, to these shows, or what we would give them as a rating.
Okay. So what was Kokkoku?
So Kokkoku,
7-episode Kokkoku.
I would give that one so far a 7.5, probably 7.5. Okay. It's pretty good. It's interesting. I haven't finished it yet, but that's what I'd give it. Yeah, so far.
Citrus is somewhere between a 4 and a 6. It's either a 4 or a 6. Whichever. If the good things stand out more to you, it's a 6. If the bad things stand out more, it's a 4. Right. Either way, it's definitely not worth higher than that. Right. Not one bit.
Certainly. Okay, so let's move on to the next one.
How about PopTeamEpic?
PopTeamEpic, yeah.
I watched them all, and you've watched like 3 or 4 episodes. So what do you remember? What did you think of those?
I thought they were just downright awesome. I enjoy watching comedy type anime like that. Also really fun stuff. Like I was really into like Shin Chan. Like growing up and watching that on Adult Swim and stuff. And not to say that this is a lot like Shin-chan, but it just reminds me of it in that whole like just raw comedy kind of thing, and real slapstick like humor and stuff like that. Really quick, I should say, quick humor.
It's got a lot of out there humor, kind of like the stuff you like from. Would you compare it similar to the stuff you like here, like Tim and Eric, that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
just because of how
in a
like
way
random and ridiculous it gets.
Yeah, like that aspect of it, like, and that's what I meant by like the quickness, like really quick things that don't require a lot of thought to them. You know, like
it's just like set up punchline.
Yes,
set up punchline.
Yeah,
like
super quick stuff. Like, and yeah, I would definitely compare that to something like a Tim and Eric or Eric Andre show or whatever, like, stuff like that. And I really like that stuff. But PopTeamEpic it has that element of it, which I definitely like. But just the artistry behind it too, and how it's got that real what's the word I'm looking for? Gosh, it's like a type of comedy, like you go to improv. It's almost it's kind of improv-ish.
It actually is more than you realize. But the thing is, I have to find which episodes have the exact things I'm thinking of. But there's a couple that you have to make sure you watch it, even if you don't watch the whole series. Like, for instance, anybody listening to this who's watched it and who has seen the Hellshank sketch knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you have to watch that one. I think it's episode 6.
Okay.
I think. But the Hellshank sketch is fucking legendary. You just I'm gonna hype it up, put it on a pedestal.
I'm gonna dangle it, dangle it right in front of me, and then hopefully I'll watch it.
I need to build a pedestal. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
But I wasn't on the camp. This show was a little divisive because it had it's comedy, so you either love it or hate it. Mm-hmm. And I think I was mostly on the side of loved it.
Yeah.
Not every sketch is gonna hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh at every sketch, but I wouldn't expect to.
Right.
I laughed
it's
at
so
enough
quick.
That I thought it was
there's
good.
there's like 100. There's 150 jokes in each show. It's like so you're not gonna get every single one of them. But the ones that you really get. Would you say that how much does the animation help you with some of those punchlines? Like with the animation being really dramatic is like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like if it didn't have that, like if it didn't have this, really intense, well thought out, like drawing type thing, would it be as funny?
Not everything. I don't think every single sketch used animation to its benefit. But some of them did. So there were some jokes that you wouldn't have been able to pull off without like the animation emphasizing the punchline, and that's the whole point of that's the whole bonus animation can give is by
right.
Adding that in, but I think for the most part you don't need a crazy amount of animation to catch all the punchlines.
Right. I think that the animation doesn't have to be complex in terms of its like transitioning and stuff like that. But I thought the imagery does a lot. The different ways that they draw those two characters.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just the way that they're portrayed in each skit is a little bit different. Maybe the same in some of them, but they have some little quirk or something that changes about the design of that character visually.
Like that episode, was it episode 2 where they were all where one of them was all the Pokemon starters?
Yeah.
When
that's
that came up,
example.
We couldn't contain ourselves when that came up. That was ridiculous.
But yeah, I feel like every single time, like every single skit, something changes visually about that character that's noticeable almost. So
that's a really cool thing about this show is that the studio or like the creators behind it like really went all out on like just letting it just be like this improv like crazy, just like let anybody and everybody be a part of it and like insert their own flavor into it.
Right.
Because for one, an episode's 11 minutes, so in the 24-minute stretch you get two
different sets of...
it's the same episode, but it's one episode is female voice actors and one episode's male voice actors. So whichever way makes it more funnier, that's
probably what they aired. Or do you think
they aired it both?
They aired both
because they aired it in a 24-minute time slot, but an episode was 11 minutes. So to fill that time slot, they did both in one.
That's really interesting to think about.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, it's not. So for one, you get to pick which voice actors you want. Like if you think it's funnier with female or male, but then almost every episode had different male and female voice actors. So it wasn't like the same two female all across and the same two male all across the show. You had multiple on different episodes to like that emphasized jokes differently, that sounded different, and you don't notice that until you like watch it over again.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that it could be like,
and it's the same way with the animation. They brought in different animators that way. Like it always looked different, at least a little bit. There's different styles across the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that they probably, like you said, just invited a bunch of different people in, like whether they be famous or a comedian or actors or whatever. They probably just brought them in like, hey, you want to do this?
And they're just like, let's have some fun. This is good. This is batshit crazy. Let's keep it batshit crazy.
And I think that they do a great job. And like, there's a couple episodes where they show the actors actually doing the voice acting. Like
it did that. Yeah, studio. I think that was in episode 3.
Yeah,
where then it like zoomed in and a ghost appeared and then it zoomed past the ghost and the two characters were underneath the chairs.
Yeah. That was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that part made me crack up.
Yeah. It's even better. Like on top of that, like they'll let the people improv their lines. They'll literally let them improv their lines if it's funny enough. So if you'll notice that rather than the male and female episodes being exact mirrors of each other, like you'll actually get different snippets for each segment. So, for instance, there was an episode where the first skit was totally normal by the female, but then I think this was like episode 11. But and then the first skit on the male side, the male actor just did a commentary on what was happening in the skit rather than voicing anything. So on top of the skit, he was just like, oh, look at what he's doing. Oh, and that was so, and that was funny. Add another, so that way you could watch both and get a whole different experience there.
Yeah, there's layers. Like it creates layers to it, like layers to how you can perceive what's funny and like what the situation. What about the situation makes it funny.
And then, although the French segments, which I don't think started until halfway through, but there were like French segments where they went to France, and the male and the female, it wouldn't be subtitled at all, and so you'd just be like, what the fuck is happening?
Right.
But then the male, it's all subtitled, so you actually get to know what's happening. But but I think it's funnier without the subtitles.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's a cool production, even if you don't think it's funny. Like it's a cool production because they were just like, let's have some fun, motherfuckers. Right.
And you could tell, and they don't hesitate to let it be known.
Right.
They're just having some fun, and like it's just a cool little thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, because it's only 11 minutes of animation.
Absolutely.
But it's easy to have a couple of crews of voice actors to come in and do a little skit, and just do a couple of takes,
right?
And
which one was funnier? Yeah, it was really cool. So basically, all you need to know is go watch Hellshank Yano, and
all right,
everything will be all right. I give it an 8 on Mal.
I would agree with that. 8. It's pretty good. I recommend it.
With a more dynamic rating, I might give it like 8.3 or something.
Right.
But we don't need to go that crazy.
Cool. Well, moving on.
Let's see. Okay, so I need to pile through the next 3 because the next 3 are all mine.
Okay.
Because you haven't watched them. So I'm gonna frame all 3 of these in telling you to go watch them because they're all great. All 3 of these were like right below Universe for me.
Cool.
It was like
I'm not gonna watch them.
You suck.
Just joking. Yeah,
I quit. Let's go start my own podcast. But yeah, it was like Universe, which we'll talk about later. But after that, these 3 come in pretty highly this season, and why I thought this season was like so good. So first one's Takagi-san. Skilled Teaser Takagi-san is the English title.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to try to butcher the Japanese name. But we watched the first episode together.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it stays like that. It's always him just being a fucking doofus. Just super gullible and, overthinks everything and never wins against Takagi-san. But every time...
Is it pretty episodic, or is it progressive, like a story along with it?
It's mostly episodic.
Episodic.
Yeah. It doesn't develop very much.
Yeah.
It develops a little bit in the last 2 episodes, or like exactly what you want. So it's mostly, this show is mostly, if you found that funny, you'll probably like the whole show.
Right.
The fact that they kept it 24 hours tired some people out. Like, some people didn't think it was funny enough to keep 24 minutes, not 24 hours.
Yeah.
I liked it enough. I liked it enough that I watched it every Tuesday right before Universe, because it was like a nice lighthearted show to start my day on,
Sure. Kind of loosen you up with some lively stuff before you get into the real heavy.
Into the real heavy meat. Yeah. But I thought it was hilarious. Some people didn't like. I don't know if the first episode had those 3, but you either had the main 2 characters or the 3 girls, and there'd be little shorts that are comedic shorts with one of those pairings. And so a lot of people didn't like the 3 girls. I thought they were fine. But, the main 2, Takagi and Nishikata,
right,
sell the show, of course. But it's hilarious, and the last 2, I found it hilarious throughout. So maybe that's just me, but the last 2 episodes sell it a little bit more, because you get a little bit. And I stumbled upon this something they do, like TV radio shit that they do in Japan, where the voice actress for that who voices Takagi-san, does this show thing in Japan, and someone English subbed it and put it on YouTube.
Oh, really?
And and both her and the guy, Nishikata's voice actor, were on that show for a couple times, and I love it even more, because those 2 are fantastic.
Yeah,
they're just I found them to be enjoyable personalities outside of the show too. So
right.
So, and I'm not usually one to follow voice actors or actresses or directors. I don't really follow the people behind the scenes.
Sure.
Even though maybe I should. But I just happened to stumble upon that somehow, and now I love those 2 people.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe that'll be your bridgeway into actually following some of the makers.
At least those 2.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you that after this. See what you think. But,
yeah.
Because it's interesting. It's funny. But
cool.
But yeah, that's good. I think I gave it an 8.
Yeah.
I don't think it deserves more than that. I think 8's about max you can go with the show, just because there's not a whole lot of meat in it. It's really cute, and then at the last end, it gets really, you get a little more heart flutters. But, I gave it an 8 just because I enjoyed it that much. But
sure,
it's not a 10, that's for sure. All right, next. Yuru Camp. I can make this one quick. It's a cute girl doing cute camping. Done.
Right.
It's adorable. It's surprisingly good. I don't know if you've even watched an episode.
Sure haven't.
You're gonna underestimate it for sure. Just looking at it, just like reading the description, you're like, okay, all right. And I've told you this before, but like how it's just like really comfy. But you'll underestimate it, but it's really good. Like it's for a good amount of people, it's beating out Universe for anime of the season.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like it's up there. Most people have like Universe and Yuru Camp in the same tier.
Right.
And they're loving it. And
I have to go watch that.
I obviously didn't like it as much as Universe.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Universe has a special place in our hearts.
But it was the epitome of comfy. And it's like exactly what you want from a like slice of life, cute girls do cute things anime. Just I even said it in the video I made. It's like the perfect embodiment of this genre.
Right.
Like, so if this is what you like, you almost don't get better than this.
Right. This is the show for you if you like that particular kind.
Right. And even though I'm not like, that's not like one of my favorite genres, I wouldn't say, even though I like a lot. Just it executes it very well.
Yeah. And
it looks really good. Like all the scenery shots. And it's actually, I found out from Reddit that all the backgrounds and all the city places that it walks through are all real. And so people went around and captured photos of what was in the anime.
Right.
And it was
just a side by side.
It was 1-to-1. Yeah.
Thing,
yeah. They literally just did that. They stood outside.
They took a picture and probably animated based off of that picture.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it creates it quite faithfully for that series, which I've heard the people with the resources have actually gone up and camped up there because of the show. So
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, that one's on my list then.
Yeah.
It's that revered.
It's surprisingly good. Yeah. It's up on with my favorites of the season too, but you'd be surprised to know that it beats out Universe for some people. So and then last but not least, definitely not least, this is maybe my second favorite show of the season, because Universe is the first, but this one, After the Rain, I think we've talked about this a little bit, but you haven't seen it because it's on Amazon, so you'd have to watch it. Oh, you have Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, I have Amazon. Okay. That's how I watched Kokkoku.
Right. So it's on Amazon Prime, and it's the one where it starts out as like this like taboo relationship, or it teases that idea because the main girl is 17 years old, I think, and then she has feelings for her like 45-year-old manager of the restaurant, and so it teases that the show's going to be about this romance, this like taboo romance, right? Right. And I won't spoil how it gets because I think you should watch this one. This one's really good as long as you enjoy like softer seinen like more girly quote unquote girly shows. Yeah.
Like romantic drama type shows.
Yeah. Like it develops really well. And when it first came out, people were like, "Ooh, this is a touchy subject." The age gap. Which is a very taboo, touchy subject. And so if this anime didn't like treat it with care, it would have turned into the dumpster fire Citrus was.
Right.
And I am happy to report that it did not turn into that dumpster fire. It's really good.
Right.
This one I think is the underrated show of the season for sure. I think not very many people watched it, and that might be because of where it is.
Right. It's on Amazon.
Amazon still, even though there's no double paywall, I think it still keeps a lot of people off it.
Which is interesting because a lot of those shows are so good that are on Amazon.
Amazon was buying up all the good ones,
and it's kind of unfair. Well, not unfair, but it's unfortunate for some viewers that only watch Crunchyroll.
Yeah,
where they might get they get like the freaking Mac Daddy of all resources for anime watching or whatever, but they're missing out on these freaking awesome shows that are on Amazon. So
it's unfortunate that you can't. It's not all consolidated, but.
Yeah, that's like that one Inuyashiki that I watched. That was dope. And I was like, man, people are missing out if they're not watching anime on Amazon.
Yeah, that one didn't get watched much. The other ones did just because they had more revere behind them, like Made in Abyss.
Yeah,
like people were
really
ended up talking about that so much. It was literally Anime of the Year. It got voted Anime of the Year. So
right.
So that got it talked about so much that it pushed people towards it. But
right.
Either way, whether it's Amazon or just because of the subject matter it was about, it's definitely underrated, and it was the second best show of the season for sure.
Gotcha. So second in your book.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Behind Universe.
It dealt with that nature, that taboo-ness very cleanly, and the way it developed the story was good. It was good. All the hard feels. All the hard feels. All right, are you ready?
Let's go.
We're done. We have the big three
ones. So that was our speed round through all of those kind of smaller,
quote unquote speed.
Yeah, smaller, not as well known. But these next ones are the three
that we finished,
and that were really good, and that,
or at least that we finished enough that we have stuff to talk about.
Right.
So I let's start with Overlord.
Okay.
Just because I want to keep the two more dear ones for last.
Yeah.
But let's start with Overlord. You go first because I've been talking for a while.
Okay, so to start off with this one, I just kind of want to talk about how you felt about the show, initially.
To start with, yeah,
and how I was just like, just give it a second, okay. But I agree with you wholeheartedly that it started off so slow that it was almost one that. And not even just slow. It's not like it started off slow. It's that they threw a bunch of new characters at you that you had no idea who they were, and they did not give you anything to let you know about them. Yeah, it was just like, oh, there they were. And then they flashed over to another new set of characters that you're like, okay, were you going to go back and explain what was going on with these two?
We'll get there.
Yeah. And it kind of forced you to look past that a little bit. It kind of forced you to kind of be in the moment of what was going on at that time. Yeah. Like the little relationship between the two, like the two lizards. Yeah. That was freaking awesome.
It was cute.
That was happening there was
just because the tails, their tails were the best characters of the show. Yeah, for sure. Not them, just their tails.
Yeah, but then you get later on in the show and they're just like gone. You don't even.
Oh yeah, 4 episodes in and. No lizards anymore.
Yep.
I like Overlord. I want to love it.
Yeah.
But I can't.
You can't love it.
It pisses me off. Because it should be so much better than it is.
Yeah.
Like and I try not to like have expectations for a show, because then you're just like saying well, I think this show should be this, therefore it is bad.
It's always going to underwhelm your expectations.
But So, I think this show fundamentally has a problem. Its fundamental problem is its story structure. It's fucking garbage.
It is. It's pretty terrible. There is, if you want to call it a story structure.
Yeah, exactly. There's literally no structure. It's just things happening.
Yeah.
And characters introduced, things happening, and you're just like along for whatever it happens to do.
Right.
But you have no inclination on how this affects everything, on who matters, like what the overall arcing story is about.
Yeah.
Like,
you had to struggle through it to get to, because once you get to the last few episodes, the last like 4 or 5 episodes, then it's like, okay, now it's starting to come together a little bit. But
it gets a little better. It's still fundamentally broken on story structure.
Yeah.
You still get a bunch of people who feel useless at the moment, or a bunch of characters that are new that you don't know or you don't understand.
Right.
But it's still.
And then at the end, all these characters are fighting together like there's some like really developed team that has this connection or something, and it's a connection that none of us see.
Yeah, they didn't sell us on.
Yeah.
In a different. If it was structured right, that moment on the last episode where the king and what's the soldier's name?
I know you're talking about.
Not Brain Unglass. What is his name? The main soldier dude. I don't remember his name. There's Brain Unglass, the blue-haired guy, and then his like counterpart who's in he's a big shoulder.
He was wasn't he the bodyguard?
Yeah.
Of the princess?
Yeah. No, not Climb.
Not Climb.
The other guy. The guy who is a major part of season 1.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but the moment where he came out with the king, that should have been an epic fucking moment.
Right.
If the structure was better and they built up to that, and the whole like setting, the whole like battle with the demons in that little space was built up, that would have been like, that would have just like, we would have balled our fists and be like, fuck yeah! It would have been so much better if they actually like built that up well, right?
Yeah.
But instead you're just like, oh, cool.
We would have been
Nice.
like Ainz at the end. Well, I suppose I should.
Oh!
That was just like the funniest ending.
It shows that he's still awkward.
Yeah.
He's still a cool character. I still love Ainz.
Yeah, but they didn't really. They
spent very little time with him.
Yeah, and they didn't bring him back like they did in the first one. Like like what I was talking about with his true character, like his human character.
His human voice. Yeah,
they didn't show that much, and it was like
very little.
Yeah, it was like you almost thought that you weren't going to hear his voice anymore.
Yeah,
and that's what I kind of felt until the last episode, when all of a sudden, like every time he says something, it's accompanied by his human conscious, like his thoughts.
And you're like, holy shit.
And you're like, what?
He still exists. And yeah, it just, my thing is it could just be so much better if it was built, if the whole structure was built better.
Right.
Because there's a problem when you jump into a new series, you introduce a million characters, and then we spend 4 episodes with lizard people that never touch the story again.
Right.
So, like, the whole the Lizardman arc was for the payoff of Frostpain on that last episode. So he could pull out the icy blade and be like, haha!
Right.
Like, that's 5 episodes for, like, 10 seconds worth of
right.
Icy Frosto! Or whatever he says,
Right.
That's it. Maybe season 3 will, like, give us more payoff there, but that's still poor storytelling.
Well, another thing I want to do is kind of do
setting.
I want to kind of do some research, and I know neither of us read manga really, and it's got to be difficult because, I'm sure there's a ton of manga out for Overlord because it took so long for season 2 to come out. I'm sure that they were pretty far ahead in the manga and
oh yeah,
how to make that regulate and how to regulate that and transfer it over to an anime has really got to be tough. So kind of makes me want to start reading the manga a little bit.
I think the manga is structured in a similar way.
Is it really?
Yeah,
like you've heard some of the same things.
Well, I think when the Lizardman arc was still going, back at the first few weeks, I think people were talking about it like the way people were talking about it were when they referenced the manga. It sounded like it was built the same way. It was just like, oh, give it time.
Right.
They're like, give it time, it gets better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess
it did get better, but
yeah. Well, just because. I think it got better just because the characters are better.
Right.
It focused on cooler characters.
Yeah.
Like Sabas, and he didn't even... His characterization could have been better. Like, I'm just going to be critical about this whole show, but his characterization could have been better, but he was a cool character.
Yeah.
He was a badass. He's like the one good evil guy. He's like a good guy in this, like, army of evil people.
Yeah.
And so he's very easy to root for.
He's the only one that has that connection with humans.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, humans are cool. And I think that that could even be like a main point because it goes back to that at the very end in the last episode when Ainz is like, oh, I forgot. I haven't even been thinking about the humans.
Yeah, because he doesn't feel connected to him anymore.
Right. And it's interesting that Sebas has that connection with the humans.
Well, I don't know. That might be part of it. I know also part of it is that just his creator, I think, coded into him the same way we like Ainz coded into the girl to love him.
Right.
But Sebas was coded to help people in need. Right. And in the first episode, we see him help the girl. Is that's what he says? I think that gets mentioned that he can't help but go to her aid because his master was that way. His master was like the altruistic hero type. Right. So that got instilled into him and his character. So that makes him cool. And then, but then you get Climb, which is the most. You can't get more on the nose than that. Like they named him Climb, and his whole story arc is like him being put down and be like you can never be better than what you are now. Right. It's like, oh really? Do you know my name?
My name's Climb.
So it's very, very obvious that he's like the story path. What he is going to do. Right. He's going to climb, get stronger, Right. He's going to be the one that, however that escalates, but. Right. So it's not very, that's not very inventive, but, Climb isn't an awful character.
Right.
He's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't think that it's necessarily bad for him to be a predictable character like that. I think that's...
He's still fun enough to watch, so you're just like, okay. And I want to mention one more thing about that last episode. Did you think that was just about as stupid as I did when Brain went to fight Shaltir?
Yeah.
When that was clearly not Shaltir?
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Yeah. Because we have no clue who she is, I think. But he assumes it's Shaltir, and so, she does the same thing Shaltir does, where she raises up her pinky. Right. And he breaks it. And then when he runs away, she chases, but then she sees Climb, and she's like, is that? And then goes back. Right. Although maybe she was looking at the other random dude who we literally know nothing about. Yeah. But that moment made me think she was the princess.
She might have been. I don't know.
That's why I was hoping at the end when Klein was talking to her, it would fan down to her pinky and like show it bandaged or something or broken.
Some little clue.
Yeah, because that would have been like, oh!
Right.
But as of now, she's just another character we know nothing about that is possibly as strong as Shaltir.
Right.
Well, I don't know. But
just another part of the show that
didn't look anything like Shaltir, though. Didn't have the same hair, didn't have the same dress.
Right.
She was... So, like, why he thought she was Shaltir eludes me. I don't know. It just seemed silly to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Just another thing about that show that's...
Yeah. I could complain about it all day. I literally could complain about it all day.
Yeah.
But I did generally enjoy it.
Yeah, it was not bad.
The first season was better, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they announced season 3 for summer, and I really hope they clean up their shit.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, maybe that's why a season's coming out so quickly.
Yeah.
Like a third season's coming out so quickly.
The nice thing is, even if it is more... Even if it isn't structured any better, the more we get of it, the more we learn of it, and therefore the more we can deal with it, right?
Right.
Because when we actually know everything, then it's not a confusing like pile of dog crap. You know? Right. Once you actually know what's happening, then all these like random tidbits that are being thrown out there, you're just like, huh? Right. You know, you'll actually be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Right.
I get what you're doing. So you could at least enjoy it for that.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll at least get that with season 3.
Hopefully.
What was your rating for season 1, and then what was your rating for this one?
So season 1, I'm not sure what I had for it on my anime list, but thinking back on it, I would probably give it. I'd probably give it a solid 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
8.5.
Okay.
For season 1. Season 2, I'd probably give it a 7.
I'm definitely below that.
Below that?
I'm almost exact one. I'm just 1 point below. If I had to, if I just gave it straight mal numbers, Overlord 1 is probably about a 7.
Mm.
Overlord 6. Overlord 2 is a 6.
A 6, yeah. So just 1 point below.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, but there's a lot about it that's not great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I think of a rating,
it should be so much better than it is.
Like when I think of a rating and I think of 6, I think of something that's not particularly enjoyable. Like
that just depends on how you rate things. For sure.
Just depends on how you rate things. But
I tend to skew it, and now that I'm on Mal, I kind of utilize their skews on it, because their 6 is fine, which is about right.
It's fine.
You know,
yeah,
it's good but not great.
Right.
I think like 10 is masterpiece, 9 is great, 8 is good, 7's good. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Either way, for me, I would put 6. I would put 6 as like something that is both good and highly flawed, but it's something where it's good things I can enjoy enough to like not have the flaws make me claw my eyes out.
Sure. That's
why I'd put like Citrus as a 4. It also has some good points and some flaws,
right,
but the flaws are much worse than the good points, right?
You're getting to the cringe-worthy,
right?
Cringy.
So if you cut the show in half and it's 50% flaw and 50% good, like which is stronger? And for Overlord, both seasons, it's good generally outweighs the bad.
Right.
So it's at least enjoyable enough to be above 5, which 5 is just straight meh, boring, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I would probably put 7 and 6.
Cool. All right.
Okay. Which one do you want to do next? There's only 2 left.
So let's
You
do
choose.
Darling and Franxx next.
Okay.
Do that one. I'll let you start off.
Oh, okay. God. Oh, I thought you were going to start. Where to start? I don't even know where to start with this one. Because we talked briefly about it on the Trigger episode.
Yeah, we did talk quite a bit about it.
We talked a little bit. But at that point, there was only like 3 episodes or 4 episodes. I think only 3. I really like Darling. I really like Darling. I think some people toss it off too early just because of its very, 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 very heavy implicative.
Yeah, but it's not as heavy when it got like the further on in the show.
No, yeah, it's only that heavy on the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, they really dial it back.
Yeah, once it resolves. So the first 6 episodes is like is a story arc. It's like I would probably call it the Gian arc because it's all about the Gian bird and them coming together.
Right.
So that's like the first 6 episode is the Gian arc. Okay, and I thought that was good. It is. There's a lot of like wink wink, very hard wink wink nudge nudge shit in there.
Yeah.
But as you get through the show, you understand why that's there.
Right.
And so if you were able to get past it, then you understand it more.
Yeah, it's kind of like something that they wanted you to understand early on, and then once you understood it, then they can lay off it.
Right. They don't need to do it quite as hard.
Yeah.
Because just being in the Franxx alone is enough to be like, ooh.
Right.
just seeing people in with like holding butt handles, like
right.
That's enough that you'll be like, okay, I get the symbolism of the show.
Sure.
But because even from the start, I thought the show was at least clear enough that it was going to try to have a symbolic message that all of this fit into.
Right.
The thing is, we just haven't gotten to that payoff yet. The same way Kill la Kill was, Kill la Kill was raunchy as fuck, but it was embodied in this, like, its whole thing was embodied in the message, and the themes of the show. So, from the start, I was giving it the benefit of the doubt when nobody else was.
Right.
But there was a lot of people that weren't, because they were just like, okay, fine, fan service, woo. But I don't think any of it was meant as fan service.
Right.
Except for the deliberate fan service.
Yeah, like you said, maybe the first few episodes, it probably was easy to come off as fan service type stuff, but
but I don't think it was. I think it was trying to set up the whole.
It redeemed itself as that later on as the show went on.
It was setting up the themes and the characters' ignorance. And so that's why that was I thought that was interesting. So
right.
But the first, I think, ever since episode 4, the animation has been on fucking point. Every episode, even the character animation has been.
Yeah.
Like, even if Trigger's not doing all of it, like they're putting a lot into the animation and the directing of the show. So I'm like.
Especially towards the end, like a lot of the action sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the last few episodes were.
Well, that's what I'm saying. After episode 4 was like almost entirely animated by Trigger, right? And that was when it really ramped up.
Right.
Because up until then, it was good. And if I look back on it, it was probably better than I thought I'm thinking of. But ever since then, every episode has had good animation.
Yeah.
It's had good character animation and excellent fight animation.
Right.
Where every time they fight the Klaxosaur, you get, like, those insane, like, Sakuga moments.
Yeah.
Like with the wings on episode 6.
Yeah.
Was like, damn.
Real dope.
Yeah.
Real dope.
But.
So, what do you think about, things that they really put off explaining until the very end. Like, things that they left you in the dark about throughout the whole show, you know, and they left you wondering and guessing different and hypothesizing different things about what's really going on in their society.
I think they've been handling it fairly well. Like, better than Overlord.
Yeah.
Because, like, at face value, it seems the same, because both are withholding a lot of information, but the way it's withholding it and the information it's withholding is different.
Yeah.
And so it's a little more elegant.
It was a little more tactful.
Yeah.
Like, in the way that they left you hanging so that you could kind of ponder it a little bit.
Right,
come up
yeah.
with your own ideas about what's going on, and almost develop your own values about
right.
what
and in this instance, we kind of relate to the characters more that way, because then we're both in a similar level of ignorance, because the characters don't know what the fuck's going on either.
Right.
The characters don't understand what love is, and they don't understand why Papa does what he does, and they don't understand, they don't understand anything either. So it puts us in a similar boat where, in a way, it can help us relate to them.
Right.
Like episode 11, where Zorome went into the capital, or into the
and the old lady rescues him. Yeah,
which was interesting. But yeah, I thought it was dealt with pretty well. As long as the second half is good, this show gets a thumbs up for me. Yeah. So far,
thumbs up so far for me.
Yeah. So far, it's good. It's set itself up fairly well. As long as it finishes strongly, then, and episode 13 was pretty cool. Mm. So I mean, as long as it finishes strongly, then it's gonna be a good enough show for us to allow it to sit among the Trigger shows. Right. I will allow you to sit next to Kill la Kill.
Right. To have a place among the greats of Trigger.
I definitely don't think it'll be as good as the two best. It's not gonna be as good as Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, or Little Witch. I don't. Right. I think it's not gonna.
But it's something that you can associate with them.
Yeah.
That you can have sitting near them.
Yeah.
Under them.
What have you? I only have one problem. And it's kind of nitpicky and kind of silly. And it's not a very big problem. But to me, it kind of... It's starting to feel like they're a little too self-indulgent. Because ever since... It was, I think, what was it? After episode 7, every episode has a shit ton of monologuing.
Right.
But this kind of deep existential monologuing where just like at the start where he was Hiro was talking to himself about the Gion bird and and so he's like, hey guys, this is the meaning of the show. This is the theme of this point. But every episode, the Zorome episode, the Mitsuru episode, who else had an episode? Kokoro? I think Kokoro had an episode. Each person who has an episode, does this whole big monologuing at the start and at the end, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just when every single episode is that, it feels a little too self-indulgent. Which is the nice way... Because I was going to say up its own ass, but that's harsh. I don't think it's that bad.
Right.
But, It seems like it's trying very hard to be deep, right?
Right.
And I don't know if it's
forced
earned
a little.
That. Yeah.
It's forced a little bit.
I don't know if it's earned the right to be that deep, because it hasn't given us anything to quench that thirst.
Well, I don't know.
Because every time it introduces a deep, it hey, we're deep. It never resolves to be yeah, it was really deep.
Right.
At least not yet. Not yet.
I think that it's all about what you've happened to pick up, or what like I was saying, like those hypothesis or whatever that you develop about the show and what's going on in their society. Like I think that probably plays into it. Like if you understand certain things about it, or if you've been able to connect certain dots, then maybe that deepness actually has some meaning. But
well, the thing I like the overall themes. I think I've started to grasp some of it, and we'll see if the show actually lines up with what I think what I think part of it's about.
Mm-hmm.
But not every episode lines up with the one bigger theme of the show.
Right.
Not that it has to, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's not like a big issue, and it's arguably not an issue at all as long as the second half sells the show. It's just after I watched episode 11 or 12, since it was like 6 episodes in a row of that monologuing, it got to feel a bit much.
Right.
For a moment at least. But other than that, I love the show.
Yeah.
I love the show.
It's
like
good.
right now I've got it as an 8 on Mal.
Yeah, I would give it the same.
And
Solid
as long
8.
as it finishes strong, it definitely earns that 8.
Yeah.
If it finishes really strong, I'm willing to give it a 9, but I very much doubt it's going to get to a 10.
Right.
If it gets to it, if it blows out of the water that much, then by all means.
I think that a 10 show would be something that you would definitely feel off
already.
The first
13
episodes.
Yeah. First half of this show, you should probably know if it's close, because I knew. Well, we're about to talk about it, but I knew Universe was going to be one of my favorite shows since episode 5.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, shall we move on to the granddaddy?
We can finish this up with our last one. A place further than the universe.
A place further. The further.
The farthest.
I just think of that one movie where they talk about the further. Insidious.
It's a horror movie, of course.
Of course you haven't seen it yet.
Well, anyway. Okay, well, I went first on Darling, and you can go first on Universe.
Okay,
because I could literally fill an hour podcast with it because I filled a 36-minute video with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm 10 minutes of that was me a little bit, but maybe not 10 minutes. Maybe
It was like
5.
4. Yeah.
But
and I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah,
that's good. It was a good point for sure.
Just in case you don't know, my boy Sean here put up a new video on his YouTube page, and it's about this show, and about some of the various things and themes in this show, and he does
about why it's so good.
Yeah, and he does just an excellent job of going into depth about so many different themes and ways that you can look at the show and
thanks, buddy.
Develop meaning. So
yeah.
I recommend you go check it out.
Yeah.
So take a look at that video, especially if you've seen Place Further than the Universe.
Yeah.
Excellent show.
Yeah, so. It's youtube.com/group therapy. So if you look up group therapy or the impact of A Place Further Than Universe, you'll find it. So
sweet.
Yeah.
So, A Place Further Than the Universe. Where should I start with this one? Well, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Anime of the season?
This is my nominee for anime of the season, absolutely. And as I'm sure that it's yours as well.
For sure.
But what makes it so good? A lot of things make it good. Just the pure theme of adventure and trying new things, and that's what makes this show so good. It's like so clear in its theme.
Yeah.
This like doesn't hesitate. This is the theme. This girl wants to break free from doing the norm and do something else. And she's wanted to do it for a long time, but she's scared.
Yeah.
And she finally has help and meets other people that, that together they help each other. You know,
Yeah.
they encourage each other to go on this journey and try new things. And that theme stays consistent every single episode. Every single episode.
Every beat, every character, every story, every part of the show, every song, all of it feeds into the overall theme.
Yeah.
So, like, just the execution is impeccable.
Right. One of my favorite things about the show is that there's really not one main character. You know,
Yeah.
like,
For sure.
they show you, like, you're like, oh, here's the main character. In the first episode, they're like, oh, and here our main character.
Yeah.
But then as you go on through the show, you're like, oh, she's not really the main character. They're
Yeah.
all they're all like one character.
They're all important.
Yeah.
It's the group that
Mhm.
matters. And then even after that, even to a lesser extent, it's the whole crew that matters.
Yeah,
It's
you were
not just
saying
the
that.
four. It's everybody on the ship.
Yeah.
And I said that in the video, but like episode 7, I was dumbfounded because by minute 12, I cared about everybody on that boat,
Right.
at least to some extent, which is absurd. Just because it like, just with a couple flashbacks, it showed you that these people are just like the 4 main characters.
Right. Or they were the first time that
Yeah.
they had came, you know, to
Well,
Antarctica.
and even now they're just like Shirase, and that's what we get at the end of that episode. Is because in like Shirase, before she makes her speech, she looks at them and you know she realizes that they're just like her, right?
Right.
Because they're all you know going. They all have this dark past that they're sad about, which is her mom dying, and they're going forth to find their dreams and to find answers and
Right.
to find themselves, and you know. And
I
so,
think that you could say that maybe for a while you think that Shirase is the main character.
Shirase is arguably the main character.
Yeah.
You put her in that slot just because she's the one driving the story.
Right.
While
she's
everybody
really,
matters, she drives the story because she's
Right.
the only reason they go to Antarctica.
Yeah, none of
And
them
then-
would have gone if it
Yeah.
weren't for her.
The resolution at the end is built around her,
Right.
which is natural. So
Right. Which is fine, you know.
yeah, which is good.
Um,
It's great because
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that they do a good job of like keeping her in mystery about why she's really there. You know, like why is she really there? Like, because she tells you, you know, at first she's just like, oh, I'm going to look for my mom, or like, she's going to look for her, even though she knows that she's
you know what?
dead.
It wasn't.
know?
Yeah, it wasn't until episode 12 that last heartbreaking episode.
Yeah.
It wasn't until halfway through that, or maybe it's at the end, where I'm like, it. At that point, it clicked. I'm like, oh, I understand why she's here now.
Right.
And the fact that it did that at episode 12, not at episode 7, and it did that at episode 12 without them. It wasn't them explicitly saying. They didn't have her monologue. Oh, this is why I really came here all along, because I needed to find myself.
Yes.
They didn't have her monologue it. They just let it happen on screen.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it was done so well that we just understood.
Yes, they
We
didn't
figured
have
it
to
out
have
ourselves.
any dialogue
Yeah.
or monologue that told you what that was.
Yeah.
You just saw it happen, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
And it hit us like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's like, why are you here? And the reason is, like you said, to find herself again, to
Right.
refine who she was.
To figure out
Because-
why her mom loved Antarctica so
Yeah.
much, and like why she went, and
Well, you know, I think that, like, really the main thing is to find herself again. 'Cause
Right.
she was never the same. She could never truly grieve. You know, she never grieved. She never cried. She just became this, like, you know, monotone,
This
just
wall,
like
yeah.
whatever, you know. And you could tell throughout many parts of the show, just like, oh, I never figured you to be a jump roper, you know, like,
Mhm.
and they're like, and she's just like, oh, what makes you say that, you know? And then it shows, like, the pictures of her with a jump rope having a lot of fun, and it's just like, is that even the same girl?
yeah,
you know, and it's like, yeah, that's obviously the same girl, but now she's without her mom, and now she has to go to Antarctica to find that part of herself again.
Yeah.
Because
to wake up from her dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Because all of that whole part of herself was all left in those emails that she sent. You know, like she sent the emails, and with those emails, she sent all of who she was, you know.
Yeah.
And then she had to go back to retrieve those emails and to retrieve, you know, that part of her.
Yeah, because that was to wake up from her, like, nightmare, you know. Yeah, that... It was... it's hard to talk about.
Yeah. It's a tearjerker. It's a tearjerker.
Because that episode 12 broke me. Just... How does it not? Like, on the discussion boards, everyone's just like, I'm broken now. I can't feel anymore.
Just floating.
My tear ducts are empty.
Yeah.
Like, it was so good.
Yeah,
so,
it was absolutely amazing.
What was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode?
Because I think that this is one of the things I highlighted in the video, but one of the things I love about the show is that every episode has a punch.
Yeah.
Every episode has impact, because every episode has this, like, setup and release that of, like, tied to that bigger theme of adventure that just, like, hits you like a truck every single time.
Yeah.
So which one do you think is your
that's a really good question. I would have to say probably the one where, and you mentioned this one in your video, but when they're on the ship and they're like getting their sea legs, you know, and they're all sick.
8.
Like the whole time. Yeah.
Episode 8. Yep.
They're all just getting sick and stuff like that, and then they're just like, oh, who cares if we're sick? We gotta enjoy this. And they like, you know, bust out of the door.
Yeah.
To
the first time the best insert song comes out. One Step. Ooh. Yeah.
That was a great episode.
It had
think of a lot of good episodes.
Episode 8 had one of the the climax of episode 8 was one of the best.
I take it back. I'm taking that one back.
I wonder if you're gonna choose the other one I'm thinking of.
My favorite episode is the one where they're wherever on their way to the boat, and Shirase loses her passport.
No, you're thinking of episode 6, and Hinata loses her passport.
Hinata loses her passport. That's right.
Really, you liked episode 6?
I liked that episode. Yeah,
interesting.
I liked that episode.
I think most people consider that the weakest episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, I mean they're all good, but
that
one has surprisingly good directing.
Yeah,
because I think I don't know how well I highlighted in the video, but like you notice the moment it gets brought up, they keep the camera on Hinata's back throughout the rest of the episode, or at least like half. Like most of the time, if Hinata's talking or if it's a group shot, we're looking at Hinata's back,
right?
Because
over the shoulder, almost.
Right? Well, like we can see everyone else's face, but we can't see Hinata's.
Yeah,
because you know she's hiding. She's trying to mask her own issues that get dealt with later. But But it's one of those like subtle directing tricks that happens even in episode 2. That one I did highlight, and that just like showed like the director for this series just fucking nailed it.
Right.
Like if you dig in deep enough into it, the directing is like just fucking stellar.
Yeah. So you want to know why I like that episode a lot?
What?
It's because they're like the midpoint. It's like the midpoint of actually being beyond the universe. You know, it's like, when you think of, going and doing exciting things and stuff like that with your friends or whatever, you think going to some exotic city, seeing the sights and stuff like that, having awesome food like they did, you know, and then seeing like the little rooftop pool and like all this cool stuff, you know, like they saw all this cool stuff and you're like, why, like, what was wrong with that? You know, like,
Yeah.
why would, after that, you should be like, oh, I'm good. Let's go back home now.
Yeah.
You know? Like, but they haven't even gotten close to what they were in store for. You know? And they already had so many problems and stuff like that, like losing the passport and stuff like that. And when she finds the passport, you know, you kind of have this thing of like, oh, we haven't even done anything, and we're already struggling. You know, like, so what are we really in store for now? You know?
It's the first episode where an issue comes up, I think.
Yeah.
Which then gets dealt with more proficiently in episode 8, where that part of the theme actually gets expressed by itself.
Right.
But you know, it's because episode 6 is just as good as any other, because for that reason, for the directing, and then that's the first episode we see pretty clear development on Sarase's part.
Right.
Because up until like episode 3, she was she was mostly thinking of herself. She wasn't thinking about the people around her too much. She was just like, I need to get to Antarctica, however I can. And so when they first get Yuzu, that starts fading a little bit, and then episode 6 is where we see like she's developed as a character where, no, I don't want to go alone anymore. Like, now my priority is having all of us go.
Right.
You know? So we see development that early, which is good.
Definitely.
Okay, so if you pick that, I thought you might pick the other one. I'm gonna pick episode 11. Okay. It was between episode 8 and 11.
Was that was the onion one, right? What was the onion?
No, 12 is the onion.
12 is the onion.
12 is the big cry one. So 12 is its own beast, so I'm not even gonna count it. But because, man, I could pick every episode. You're right. I could pick every episode, because every episode I can vividly remember every episode and the climax of every episode. Right. Because I'm just like, fuck yes, yes. Every episode. But
setting them up and knocking them down every single episode. Yeah.
So episode 8 was in my top ones. I really love that because you get the best insert song for sure. And then it was like the climax it's probably my favorite climax, just because that moment is just like so
stepping
awesome.
Through that door with the storm going on.
Yeah, the payoff was so good.
Yeah, you were almost like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. You know, like they're going out, and you feel the fear for them.
Yeah.
You know, like stepping out there, and like the camera angle's like, oh, they're about to fall over the edge, and you're like, they're not about to do that right now, are they?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
right.
And so you kind of feel it with them, which is pretty good.
But here's why I like episode 11 so much. So through the whole show, Hinata is best girl, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So almost everyone thought Hinata was the best girl.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, she was the easy. She kind of seems like the most natural best girl anyway for the largest amount of people. But I loved Hinata too. I thought Hinata was the best.
Right.
Like, she had wise words. She was really fun.
Smart, wise.
And she had this backstory that made her interesting. But then episode 11, that's when we deal with her backstory. Because episode 11 is the one where they're on camera and her old quote-unquote friends come up.
Yeah.
And I thought that one was really cool. One, because we delve into the backstory of Best Girl Hinata, and which was interesting and very well done. You know, seeing Hinata break down and like kicking the snow was interesting. You know, but at the end of that episode, she wasn't my best girl anymore.
Really?
Shirase was.
Yeah, because Shirase is just like, hey, don't fuck with my best friend.
I know. That point at the end of that episode where she's just like
a boss.
Yeah, she's like, don't mess with my friend. And then she's just like, well, Hinata's nice, but I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Piss off. when it does that, like, piss off. I'm like, fuck yes! Shirase, you bad motherfucker.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get fucking cooler than that, man.
that's like a
She
little
was a
bit of her.
badass.
That's a little bit of her finding herself again.
Yeah.
You know, because that's who she really. That was like who she really is.
Yeah.
You know, she's
and then when
she's better friend.
when she like shows her strength, that's what gets. I mean, it shows it at the end. That's what gives Gin, the leader, the go ahead to be like, all right, let's go. Let's take the girls and go visit where her mother died.
right.
And so that's what leads into episode 12. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
like she's ready.
yeah, she's ready to go finish her journey.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And just that piss off moment was so good for me. I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
So I love Strasse now.
Right. I thought that one interesting point in the show was like when Strasse sitting down with Gin, and Gin's just like, she's dead.
Yeah.
And
just drops it on the table.
And it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt as a viewer, but you knew the truth.
Right. We
and
knew
it
the truth
hurt
the
her,
whole time. Yeah.
But she knew the truth.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that really hit home. And how she reacted to that moment was what made it like, yeah, she knows already. She knew that. You didn't have to tell her that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because
she knows that.
Up until a certain point, like early on, you weren't sure if she's delusional or if maybe the writers actually were going to keep her mother alive for some reason.
Yeah.
But then you realize that she's just, she's not able to deal with it.
I'm sure that deep down everybody was hoping that maybe she was alive somehow. But
yeah, we all were, I suppose. So just to quickly talk about episode 12, at least a little bit, because that was like the giant climactic moment.
Yeah.
And episode 13 wrapped it up nicely. What I really appreciated about episode 12 is every episode before that, every climactic moment came with one of those insert songs.
Right.
And every single time it was done beautifully. It made me cry or fucking fist pump. Every time was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But episode 12 barely had any music.
Right.
There's barely any sound.
Yeah.
There's barely anything on it. And the moment they get into that bunker and the other three girls are like
outside the door,
no,
you're talking about.
No, it's the
when they're at the site.
Yeah, when they're at their site, there's this underneath bunker, and then the three girls are like, maybe your mom left something down here, and she's like,
no,
don't worry about
and they're
it.
like,
it's fine.
no, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so they're like running around trying to find stuff, and there's no music. And they find the laptop, and the whole series of frames where they pull the laptop up and wipe it away, literally dead silent.
Mm.
The moment Mario did that, it just caught in my throat, just like a frog, just just did a fucking deep dive into my esophagus. It was, woo, there was no sound, so there was no trickery of them forcing emotions onto you.
Right.
It was just a very clear display of everything culminating up to this point of trying to find the mother, trying to find something she left, the picture on the laptop of showing how much she loved her daughter.
Yeah.
It didn't need any superficial crap.
Right.
It just had to show us the computer, the top of the computer, and it put a lump in my throat, and I'm just like,
purposeful, man.
Yeah.
I bet the director, the writers and directors just knew what the fuck they were doing.
I know.
They were almost cocky with it, almost almost just lump in your throat. Here you go. You're like, oh, you want some tears?
So does everybody. Everybody will cry.
Some tears. Onions?
Everybody will cry.
Everybody cut some onions.
Yeah,
today,
just to tease us a little bit. They just have everyone peeling onions. And it's like, I see what you did there. You son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty awesome observation, you know, like it. And that's one of the biggest strengths of the show is like every single episode has a climax that can be felt.
Yeah.
And then, but maybe, I don't want to use the word forced, you know, but yeah, perhaps forced a little bit, or like you need that a little bit of assistance, you know, to guide you into like that this is the climax or whatever, like this is the climax, be ready. And then a song will come up, like you know, the insert song or whatever.
Which I wasn't bashing the use of songs.
Sure.
Because you know, the background music is pivotal for entertainment, for movies, for TV shows. Like,
right,
you couldn't make you couldn't make any media without background music.
Right.
It just wouldn't be the same.
But then when you have like a, you know,
it's just even that more impressive is that when you can sell a moment without the music.
Right. Yeah, and I think
that's what's even more impressive.
And I think that's a big point. It's like, and I think that's a common thing probably too. Like when it's like a seasonal climax, or like when it's like the whole story, you know, like the climax of the entire story.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like that. Like like think about like the season finale of some show that you've seen, you know, or whatever. Like the season finale of Walking Dead or whatever, you know, for example, would be like, you know, every other episode it starts off with some badass music or whatever going into the, you know, and it's the typical opening theme or whatever.
Right.
But then the season finale usually doesn't have an opening theme to it. There's no opening theme. You know, it just starts right into the episode. There's usually less of that like pivotal music or whatever that they'll show. And I think that's a pretty common tactic in a lot of media. Yeah. But yeah, they do it really well in the universe. It's really good. Just an absolutely excellent show. Yeah. So
it is a 10 on Mal for me.
10 for you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sticking with the solid 9.
And you're wrong.
I'm sticking with a solid 9.
It has joined the rank of 10s for me. Because I have, I think, technically 8 shows now that are 10s. And
I'll give it a 9.5.
There you go.
I appreciate generous.
That. I appreciate that. But yeah, it is to me, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
To me, it will always be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It is. It has hit me and affected me like just as hard, if not harder, than everything else I've watched.
Right.
So if I didn't put it as a 10 alongside My Hero and Toradora, then I would be lying to myself.
I think that the reason that I don't put a 10 on it is, and you know, I should give it a 10 because I do think it's a masterpiece. I have to agree with you there. But I guess I don't give it a 10 just because I personally didn't connect to it that well.
Yeah.
And again, I know that you
how you rate things. So.
Yeah, like it's how you rate things. But I already know that you have a particular soft spot for those kinds of shows, you know, already. Or a disposition, I should say, for those kinds of shows. And, I mean, I wouldn't say that
that's true, but
I don't even know that if I don't have that, you know, predisposition or whatever, because I like those kinds of shows. I don't really care. I don't really have a bias towards one type of anime towards another type of anime or whatever. But
there are some times where the theme of a show or a character's backstory or something just happens to resonate with you specifically.
Yeah.
That that sells a show for you more than another person.
Right. I think it's the same situation for like Gurren Lagann. Like, obviously, I think it's a masterpiece for a show, but I just didn't connect to it like you did, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of the same. I didn't immediately see a lot of the same themes or like connect to those themes as well as you did. And I think that that's probably one thing. Even though I think that this one's way closer. Like, I think that you see pretty eye to eye on this
yeah,
show.
the rating is more semantics than anything.
Yeah.
Like, we both loved it.
Yeah.
That's good enough, you know. Just the way the way you
recommend
rate things, we rate things are all very
different. Yeah.
You know, some people rate more on technical quality. Some people rate purely on enjoyment. Some
Right.
people
I definitely rate more on enjoyment than on technical.
Me too. I generally start with enjoyment and then fluctuate with technical quality.
Right.
So if I enjoyed the show,
initial is this.
yeah.
Then you'll
If I
use
initially
the technical.
enjoyed it, it's going to be somewhere between 6 and 10,
Yeah.
and then wherever I place it on my enjoyment meter, then the technical quality will bump it up or down 1 or 2.
Right.
That's why My Hero is a 10, just because my enjoyment of it was so high, even though the technical quality probably isn't technically a masterpiece worthy.
Right.
Even though I do think it's very high up there.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all of them, Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We covered all of them, you guys, or all the ones that
All the ones
we
we
watched
watched.
and felt
In
were
full, yeah.
worthy of talking to or about. There are a couple others that we didn't talk about that we at least watched a few episodes of. One of them being Grand Crest War, which is isn't that supposed to be? That's still going, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a 24.
It's going to be a 24 episode one, so maybe we'll leave that for next time. Next
Maybe.
time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna pick it back up.
No.
Yeah, there was
I might.
because I tried just about everything. I tried a lot of things this season, and that was one of the ones I was just like, man, I dropped.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll find enough enjoyment in it because if you can think of a show from winter, I probably tried it, but if it wasn't one of these we talked about, then I didn't. I dropped it after 1 or 2 episodes. Like Ito Junji collection was kind of trash.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other random shit. Isn't really worth talking about.
Right. Sure thing.
But we didn't watch everything. But yeah. Closing statement is this season was fucking dope.
Yeah.
Season was fucking amazing.
I have a feeling that this next season is going to be even better.
Just from the titles alone, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it is, because if it's better than winter, then this is going to be an amazing fucking year.
Amazing year for anime.
Because then after this we get One Punch Man season 3, Attack on Titan, or Overlord. There's the third SAO is coming out in the fall.
Which there's a spinoff going on right now
that we will be watching after this recording.
That's gonna be great. Well, should we play them out with a little tune?
Are we playing out with a tune too?
Yeah.
Which tune?
I've got sunshine
on
a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May.
Slowly fade
well,
out.
I guess you say what can make me.
Thanks, I don't even have to do it myself.